Chavez has the courage to take the second path and decided to call it socialism, in spite of the negative connotations. But he called it 21st century socialism to differentiate it from the Soviet-style socialism that had implemented in the 20th century. This was not about falling into errors of the past, he says, into the same Stalinist deviation, which bureaucratized the party and ended up eliminating popular participation. The need for people's participation was one of his obsessions, and was the feature that distinguished his proposal from other socialist projects in which the state resolved all the problems and the people received benefits as if they were only gifts from the state. He was convinced that socialism could not be decreed from above, that it has to be built with the people. And he also understood that protagonistic participation is what allows people to grow and achieve self-confidence, that is, to develop themselves as human beings. And Kropotkin says, he read that, no? Without the participation of local forces, without an organization from below at the peasants and workers themselves, it is impossible to build a new life. It seems that the Soviets were going to fulfill precisely this function of creation of an organization from below. But Russia has already become a Soviet republic in name only. The party's influence over the people has already destroyed the influence and constructive energy of this promising institution, the Soviets. This model of socialism that many have called real socialism is a fundamentally statist, centralist, bureaucratic model where the key missing factor is popular participation. Michael Leibovich has recently called this model the socialism of the conductor and the conducted. Do you remember when this socialism collapsed and there was all this talk about the death of socialism and the death of Marxism? That is why I believe it is necessary to distinguish between the socialist project and the socialist model. I understand by project the original ideas of Marx and Engels, and by model the particular forms that this project may take. If we analyze socialist-style socialism, we see that in those countries that this model of socialism has been implemented, based on a vanguardist mode of production, the people were no longer the protagonists. Organs of popular participation were transformed into pure formal entities, and the party was transformed into an absolute authority. But what kind of transition are we talking about? We are not dealing with a transition occurring in the advanced capitalist countries, something that has never occurred in the history, nor of a transition in a backward country where the people have conquered state power by armed struggle, as it occurs in the 20th century revolutions, Russia, China, Cuba, Nicaragua. Instead, we are dealing with a very particular transition where via the institutional road, we have achieved government power. This process of transformation from government is not only a long process, but also a process full of challenges and difficulties. Nothing ensures that it will be a linear process. There is always the possibility of retreat and failures. They inherited a state apparatus whose characteristics are functional to capitalist system, but are not suitable for advancing towards socialism. Nevertheless, practice has demonstrated, contrary to the theoretical dogmatism of some sector of the radical left, that if revolutionary cadres run this apparatus, it can be used as an instrument in the process of building a new society. It is necessary to, using the power in their hands, go about building the foundation of a new political system and new institutions, creating spaces for popular participation that can help to prepare the people to exercise power from the most simple to the most complex level. Some of the initiatives that our government has done, moving towards a regional integration, changing the rules of the institutional game by means of constituent process has allowed them to develop new constitutions, create new state institutions, transforming the central government management, doing, for example, itinerant cabinets, a form of bringing the government closer to the people, creating spaces where officials can be held to account, transforming parliament and creating forum for national debate parliament, a new form of legislating, so what is called social parliamentarism of the street, creation of space allowing people to discuss both local and national issues, pushing construction of a new state from below, the communes in Venezuela, a space of self-government, conquering spaces that used to be capitalist domain or recovering spaces that were lost as a result of the privatization during the neoliberal period, and begin to create new spaces under the control of the people's government. To finish this intervention, I would like to read out some questions which I believe can help us to evaluate where or not our most advanced governments are taking steps toward building a new society. Do they give them resources and call on them to exercise social control over the process? To sum up, are they contributing to the creation of a popular subject that is increasingly the protagonist, assuming government's responsibilities? Thank you.